The Hyksos were Kushites, not Asians. My premise is based on three collateral sources. One, the classical literature indicates that there were two Kushites, one in Asia, another in Africa. Two, the archaeological evidence, as pointed out, makes it clear that Anatolians came from the Nile Valley. Three, the Hyksos were called Hattans, whose language is related to African and Dravidian languages. As a result, the linguistic, historical, and archaeological evidence makes it clear that Heka-Kest means kings of Kush, not kings of mountains. Most researchers accept the contemporary meaning of Gardner's N25 in its Egyptian sign list. They believe that Gardner's N25 means rulers of foreign lands, not Kush. In reality, Heka-Kest probably means ruler of the Kushites. Researchers have made it clear that the Hyksos included many different nationalities. The Hyksos, according to John Bright and Robert Drews, included Hurrians, Hattans, in addition to Canaanites. This means that the name Alm was a generic name for Asians and did not denote a specific Asian tribe. The Hyksos were called Heke-Kast or Heke-Kasut, not Habiru or shepherd kings. The Hyksos did not only speak Semitic languages, their language was a language that is related to African languages. The Hyksos ruled Egypt from 1650 to 1550. The New Kingdom lasted from 1549 BC to 1292 BC. During the New Kingdom, Egyptians used the name Amur as a generic name for the Asians. The term Habiru was an ethnonym for one of the Asian tribes. It is clear that the Habiru and Heka-Kasut were the same people. They would have had the same name, given the fact the New Kingdom began at the end of the Heka-Kasut dynasty. During the 5th dynasty of Egypt, 2563 to 2423 BC, namely during the reign of Sahure, there is mention of the Tehenu people. Sahure referred to the Tehenu leader as Hatti Tehenu. These Hattu correspond to the Hatti-speaking people of Anatolia. The Hatti, Hurrian people, often refer to themselves not as Hatti or Hurrian, but as Kashka or Kaskas. This means that during the Old Kingdom, the term Heka-Kasut did not mean rulers of the foreign countries as assumed by most Egyptologists. The term meaning of Heka-Kasut was really rulers of the Kushites. If Heka-Kasut meant rulers of the foreign countries, it would have been applied to every foreign country. But the foreign kings were usually referred to as Ur, king, instead of Heka, which was reserved for the Egyptian rulers, as noted by Camille de Biase Dyson. The Hyksos were rulers of Egypt during the 12th through 15th dynasties. The title of these kings was Heka-Kasut. According to Fraser, 1900, and Petrie, Heka-Kasut was an exclusive title for the Hyksos kings. Did you hear that? No other people were called Heka-Kasut, according to Petrie and Fraser, except the Hyksos kings. It does not matter if Kamose called the Hyksos Amr. The Hyksos rulers referred to themselves as Heka, ruler, i.e. Heka-Kasut, ruler of the Kasut or Kushites. In the Egyptian text from average kings like Apophis, made it clear that they were rulers of the Kushites. Egyptians' Kas corresponds to Kaskas and Kaska, the name for the Hattans. The Egyptian term Kasut has three different elements. The ethnonyms Kas, Kush, plus the Wu, which was the plural marker in Egyptian, while the Egyptian T was a suffix that signified land or people. Since the T signified land or people, the original meaning of Kas is just Kush. There are Egyptian texts where the Hyksos call themselves Kost or Kushite. The Egyptian textual evidence for Hyksos call themselves Hekakast. In the Turin Royal Canon, where the Hyksos were styled Hekakasut during the New Kingdom, the Kushites were called Kash. The same name the Hadeans Hyksos called themselves, which was Kashka. The first four rulers of the Hyksos called themselves Hekakasut on their seals and scarabs. The Stela of Ka and a monumental door jab from Avaris is primary contemporaneous ancient Egyptian literature and epigraphic documentation that the Hyksos called themselves Kas. In the Stela of Ka, instead of reading Hekikast, Lord of the Foreign Lands, it should really read Lord of the Kushites. There is also a Hyksos door jab sign, which reads King of the Kushites. Fraser in 1900 and Newberry in 1906 have published many of the Hyksos scarabs. These scarabs often begin with the title Hakakist and the plural marker, which is 3 lines, and should read King of the Kushites. Although the Hyksos scarabs have 3 lines under Hekakist, it does not read King of the Mountains, as translated by Newberry. It means King of the Kushites. This is obvious when we look at the Kamhotep II inscription. Here we see above a Nubian ibis the Hekakist signs. Under the ibis is the name Abishari. As a result, Hekakist Abishari means the Kushite king Abishari. Whereas the Simkin scarab, we read Hekakist plus the plural marker, 3 lines, and we read it as King of the Kushites, Simkin. Kim Reihart in 1997 believes that the title Hekakasut was used by Egyptian pharaohs up to the 15th dynasty. Reinhold believes the pharaoh Simkin, who used the title Hekakast on one of his scarabs, belonged to the 15th dynasty. Hyksos kings were proud of their Kushite origin. In the Hyksos seals, the kings wrote their names, followed by the Hekakasut, king of the Kushites. These sealings are primary contemporaneous ancient Egyptian literature documentation indicating that the Hyksos used the name to illustrate their Kushite ancestry and relationship to the Nubian Kushites. You can see A History of Egypt by Mark van den Mykrop. The point is that we know that T signified land or people. So the actual meaning of the term was not Kasut, but Kesh. Hyksos kings were proud of their Kushite origin. In the Hyksos seals, the kings wrote their names, followed by the Hekakash, i.e. king of Kushites. These sealings are primary contemporaneous ancient Egyptian literature documentation indicating that the Hyksos used his name to illustrate their Kushite ancestry in relationship to the Nubian Kushites. We can look for more things. The meaning of Hyksos has to be Kush, because they would have had to have made this the meaning. Why would the Hyksos kings refer to themselves as foreign kings or king of the mountains when they were native to the lands they ruled? That's a silly interpretation. In summary, the meaning of Kas is Kushite. My interpretation of N25 Kas is supported by the use of the term Kas on the Hyksos sealings and inscriptions generally. Kas related to the fact that the Hyksos were Kaska, an Anatolian tribe. There are are references at the end of this film if you want to try to read the sources yourself.